screen. Let me bring up my screen. Just have a couple slides I want to walk us through. So welcome to the call. Welcome to the Amped Inner Circle. I'm your host, Dr. Erin, high performance business coach and the success psychologist. And I'm so glad you're watching this, whether it's on the replay or live. Every month I go live in this group, in this membership, and train on a subject that's related to living the high performance life. And these topics really relate to your life, your relationships, your health, your business. It really is some principles to success, really, the psychology of success and applying that where you need to in your life. So as a member of the Inner Circle, you have access to all the previous recordings, so please enjoy those. And today we're going to be talking about what it really takes to be the best. And I've been training on this a couple places where I've been traveling around the United States, especially to some top performers in some industries. And let me just preface this conversation with this. If you're someone who has never wanted to be the best, or even thought that that was possible, or maybe you're not sure, well, what the heck would I be the best at? I want you to open up the possibilities for yourself today and really start just wondering, just start to have some playful curiosity around this idea of what would I really like to be the best at? Maybe you want to be the best, most loving grandmother. Maybe you want to be the best motivational speaker. Maybe you want to be the best friend to those in need, right? So we're not putting you in a box. I want you to think about and expand your concept of being the best. And if there's any resistance to that, I want us to really look at that and understand that any resistance that shows up about whether or not that's selfish of us or braggadocious of us or egotistical of us or not possible, whatever that is that kind of shows up is called the resistance. And I want to remind us that the resistance is just what brains do. So a brain's job is to keep things orderly, to keep you safe, to keep things predictable, to prevent you from failing, to prevent you from wasting your time and money, to prevent you from looking like a loser, to prevent you from, once again, not reaching your dreams. That's the primal brain. The primal brain wants things to stay the same because it knows then what to expect. So here we are, entrepreneurs and alike, people in the Amped Inner Circle want to create something that's never been created before in their life, and that can do a number on our brains. So if the brain's job is to keep us kind of the same, we get to learn how to train our brain. So we get to learn how to kind of talk back to it, okay? Here's what we know about the brain. The brain is a goal-achieving machine, and the brain loves specificity. And so I really would encourage you to play around with this idea of, I want to tell my brain what I want to be the best at, because then it knows exactly the target that I'm trying to shoot for. Because when you tell your brain things like, I want to grow a business, well, that's very, very general, right? It's like, well, do we want to grow a business that makes $1, $1 million? How many people do we want to serve? What kind of business? Online, offline? How many hours do we want to be working? Like, I want to be a good mom. Well, we've got to tell our brain exactly what that looks like, because then we have a chance of hitting that target. So here's the cool thing. You get to declare what best means to you, what that looks like, your definition of hitting that target. Okay. And I would say if you're going for big goals, let's get as specific as we can. And why not shoot for being the best? Because then again, the brain knows exactly where we're going. Okay. So that's kind of how I'm setting up the conversation. Oh, let me go back for a second. I really want to implore you to know something about where I come from in this talking about being a high performer and being the best, and what I take a stand for. And I take a stand for being the best has nothing to do with your worth on the planet. I want you to imagine that your worth on the planet was established at birth. And if that's the truth, then anything you've learned otherwise, or anything you've tied to your worth, like performance, pleasing, perfecting, proving, that is the game that you were never really meant to play. I'll say that again. If you have been tying your performance, your success in business, your success in weight loss, your success in whatever the thing is that you are trying to be successful at, if you tie that to your worth, it is a dangerous, painful proposition. Now, it might make you feel happy if you reached your goals, and it should. It might make you feel dissatisfied if you don't. But your worth on the planet is not up for discussion. It's not up for approval, discussion. So that's where I come from. And I've done high performance from the place of perfectionism, and it almost killed me, quite literally. And so I really want to take a stand that, you know, at least when I'm having this discussion of being the best, we are not trying to prove anything about you. We are searching and reaching for excellence because excellence is a path to happiness. Excellence, I believe, is in our human nature. I believe as humans, we are meant and designed to constantly be growing and contributing, growing and contributing, growing and contributing. So that is what I want you to know. So in my family, sometimes at dinner, we play this fun game, and it's called What's Your Favorite? And we'll pick different subject matters like what's your favorite movie, and what's your favorite sport to play, and what's your favorite holiday, right? What's your favorite place you'd love to visit? And one day, one of my children said, let's ask each other, what's your favorite thing about yourself? And I thought, wow, what a great question. And it's kind of along the lines of, what do you like best about yourself? So in this conversation of being the best, I want you to start there. I want you to think about, how would I answer that? Going around the table with Dr. Erin and her kids, right? How would I answer? Like, what do you like best about yourself? Little Zachary, who's 8 on the left there, he said, I am the best soccer player and I am the fastest kid in the school. And okay, that's cute. And you know, he is, but he had a race coming up in the school, and he came home that night and he said, Mom, they told me I need strong legs to win this race and to be the fastest runner in school. How do I grow strong legs? And he's like, I go, let's see, you're 8, what can you do? And he goes, well, you guys all lift weights. Can I do, what are they called? Squats? I'm like, you could do squats, but you can't lift a lot of weight, like you're 8, right? So he grabs these tiny little dumbbells and he's like, set the timer, Mom, for 10 minutes. And every night for 5 nights, because the race was on Friday, every night he squatted for 10 minutes. And he was like, I will be the fastest runner in the school. And he went on Friday and he won, and he was the fastest runner in the school. So we'll talk a little bit about the Zachary model, right? And what he did right. What he declared it, and then he took action, right? He trained himself. He declared it, and he took action. Emily, the one in the middle, she's 14, and she said, I am the kindest person that I know. And I just thought that was beautiful. And then she goes, I just wish more people knew that. I thought was hysterical. And then Gracie, my sweet Gracie girl, who's 17, she said something that was so profound that I want you all to think about as really the benchmark for your life, really. And she said, put me in any environment and I thrive. That, my friends, is kind of the definition of confidence. It's the definition of personal autonomy, having this belief that you can adapt to any situation you're put in and figure things out. So you see, so if the definition of confidence in adulthood is your ability to figure things out, then look at kind of what that makes room for on your journey to being the best, on your journey to being excellent at your thing. It makes it's not so much a proving activity, right? I would hope that you see it that way. It's this adventure of, I'm going to figure this out. If I want to be the world's greatest motivational speaker and inspire thousands and millions of people, I'm not there yet, but I'm figuring it out. And it sure is a fun way to live my life on the journey of trying to figure it out. So I want you to also think of this statement. Someone said this on a podcast of mine. She was a 25-year-old woman, came with nothing in her family. They had nothing. They moved to America from, I think it was Hungary. She's a piano prodigy and like at the top of her game in insurance in LA. So living in a man's world, in a profession where very few women succeed, and she's 25 and she's at the top and she's this piano virtuoso, right? And I said, what the heck is going on? Like, what do you think is it? Like, what can we attribute to your success? And she said, and I believe this also is the definition of confidence. She said, I'm good at getting good at things. Can you be good at getting good at things? Which is ultimately what Grace is saying. Like, I'm going to be so confident that you can put me in any environment and I can thrive. That means she's got the superpower of being a human, which is adaptability. So this thing between our ears, this brain of ours, is really our best success partner. It's our best business partner. It's our best friend if we can use it for our good, which we can. So I want you to think about, what is your declaration? What would you like to be the best at? What lights you up when you think of, I want to knock that out of the ballpark. And even though I may not hit the target, I sure want to be the girl and the guy that went for it. I want to be the person that went for it. That's always really ruled my life and my business is, I don't know if I'm going to hit it. I don't know if I'm ever going to meet Oprah and be on stage with Oprah, but it sure is a heck of a fun time being on the journey of possibility, right? And that dictates what I do day to day. Okay, so before I give you three steps or three concepts of being the best, I want to set it up with three ideas first. I want you to understand that being the best is non-discriminatory, meaning the best is not just this thing for the taking for the strongest people in the world, for the smartest people in the world, for the people that were born into certain situations that could set them up for success. I am sharing with you something that is not rocket science, but I want you to really believe that it's true, and I want to remind you of how true that is. So my speaking coach, his name is Bo Eason, and he is the world's greatest speaking coach. And he, at the age of 9, he had a dream that he wanted to play in the NFL. And he was this small town kid, and he was the runt of the litter, so to speak. He was the smallest kid in his family of 6 kids. And he went to try out for football practice, and he came home and he said, Dad, They measured me and he was like tiny, he's just tiny. And he says, I think, they think maybe I'm too small for football, Dad. And excuse my language here, but the dad said, did they measure your heart, God damn it? And he's like, I don't think they had a heart measurer thing, Dad. And I mean, he had a dream to be the best. And what did the best do? He woke up every morning at 5 a.m. to practice. Since he was 9, he asked himself, what would the best eat? What would the best safety in the world? He wanted to play safety. What would the best safety do? How would he act? What choices would he make? Who would he hang out with? Who would he train with? What time would he get up, right? Would he complain? The statistical probability of one kid from a small town anywhere getting into the NFL was like 0.07. Not only did Bo Eason go and play in the NFL and became the best safety that had ever played the game, 3 of his friends also played in the NFL. And from that same school. And the fascinating thing is, that's the power of who you hang out with. That's the power of success being contagious. They took Bo's energy, they took his vision, and they took a little bit of kind of ego and said, heck, if you're going to do it, you're just the runt of the litter, then certainly I can. And 4 of these friends went and played in the NFL. He then got a career-ending injury. And he said, what the heck am I going to do with my life? I have so much physical energy that I have to get out, that I could get out in football. It was legal to like pound people, right? And he's like, I got to do something. So he said, I got to be an actor. Yeah, an actor uses their body. He had never acted before. He moves to New York City and says, I want to be the best actor that ever graced the stage. And he started and he just trained and he logged hours. He said, what did I do to be the best safety? And he started going to all the acting classes he could. And he said over and over to the students, like, who's the best? Who's the best? Who's the best? And they would all say Al Pacino. And he said, well, how do we get to Al Pacino? And they said, you don't get to Al Pacino. Eventually, Bo Eason ends up at Al Pacino's house because he said, I want to talk to Al Pacino and ask him, what does it take to be the best actor? And Al Pacino said, I've never been asked that question. I've been asked, how do you win an award? And how do you get an Oscar? But I've never been asked, how do you be the best? And after 15 years, Bo Eason wrote the #1 playwright on Broadway that lasted 17 years. It was a one-man show called The Runt of the Litter. And he was on stage as the best actor on Broadway, one-person show, best playwright, won all the awards. And he looked down one day and he looked into the crowd, and there sitting in the seats was Al Pacino. And Al Pacino had his arms like this, and he looked at Bo and he goes, that's what it takes to be the best, right? So I want you to realize, do you see how being the best is non-discriminatory? It's so exciting. It's so exciting. It's not, science has shown this over and over and over. You're not born with it or without it. It is hours logged, and it's also the story you're telling yourself about the dream and about the possibility. So we used to think there was this study from the University of London, classic kind of quintessential study of how do you become an expert and how do you be the best. And it was, on average, it took about 10,000 hours to be the best. So whatever you wanted to be the best at, if I wanted to be the best speaker in the world, I had to speak for 10,000 hours. We've now found out it's not just hours logged, it's our mindset as we're logging the hours and the story we tell ourselves and the meaning we attach to the journey. It kind of makes sense, right? So you could just be logging all those hours but never think it's possible, and that is going to produce a much different result. So it's the story we tell ourselves as we are on this journey of being the best. Second, greatness, being the best, is a contact sport. I love this quote from Muhammad Ali, the best, right? The greatest. He says, I hated every minute of training, but I said, don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion. Now, here's the bad news and the good news, right? The bad news is, on your journey to being excellent, on your journey to being the best, of course, there's going to be many obstacles, detours, things you fail at, things you get, knocked down, doubt, days that you want to quit, days you do quit, right? That's part of the journey. I was just at a conference with Brendon Burchard, and he had Tom Bilyeu on. And Tom Bilyeu was the billionaire owner of Quest Nutrition. And now he has a show on YouTube called Impact Theory. And he said something so profound. He said, success is not guaranteed. So kind of like I said, we don't know if, I can't sit here and say, yes, you will be the best. It will happen. Everything you want will happen. What we can say, if success is not guaranteed, the struggle is. And so then he said, what are you willing to suffer for? What is worth the struggle? And it's got to be that like intoxicating to you, that exciting to you, that, if I never meet Oprah, it sure was a good ride trying. It sure was a fun time making the effort on the journey. Okay. Okay. And the last thing I want to say is we do not need to balk away at being the best. We don't have to, whatever programming kind of showed up for your brain, like that sounds like a lot of work, or I'll be judged if I want to be the best, or people will think I'm all that, or people will think I'm too much, the too much person, or that I'm not grateful. That's a biggie. If I want to be the best, does that mean I'm not grateful? And it doesn't mean that at all. Being the best, statistically speaking, means happiness. People who strive for constant growth and change and contribution and success and excellence and being in integrity with what they want to create in their life and being and showing up as the person they want to be creates massive levels of joy. Again, we're created as human beings to be on the trajectory of growth. So I want you to claim it, that this truly is the softer way. It's the exciting way. It's the joy-filled way. Okay, so step one is we have to believe it. And I put this picture of Zachary on there because for so many years of his life, he's 8, but for most of his life, if you asked him, what do you want to be when you grow up? He would say, a dog. And I am not going to get in the way of anyone's dreams. And so I was not going to be the one that said, you cannot be a dog. I let him roll with that as long as he wanted. He wanted to be a police dog, and he was going to be the German Shepherd kind of dog. I mean, it was just hysterical, right? Then he kind of transitioned where he wanted to marry our dog here, Lady. He wanted to grow up and marry Lady. He was just in love with her, and it was adorable. But I want you to believe that it's possible. And I think that's such good news because isn't almost anything possible? And I also want you to believe that if that calling was placed on your heart, it's got your name on it. It didn't drop out of the sky. It didn't randomly land in your lap. You don't need to question your vision. I believe, right? That vision was given to you for a reason. Like I said, it's got your name all over it. I was not going to be the one to tell Zachary he wasn't going to be a dog. My whole life, I kind of would tell my mom, like, I just think it would be cool to hang out with Oprah. And she would say, like, yeah, it's going to happen. Like, I think you guys will get along great. She would say that. Like, she's not going to be surprised when I tell her that I'm meeting her. She's going to be like, I knew it. I knew it. Like, can you believe it? And if you can't believe it, can you borrow the belief of someone else? Or can you just open up your brain to the fact that it's possible, that you don't have to figure out the how? That's not your job. Oh my gosh, as humans, we are addicted to figuring out the how. And that is not your job. Your job is to take the next right action with the right story and the right mindset and the right vision and not give up, right? That's your job. That's your lane. Your job is not to figure out the how. I have no idea how. I didn't know how I was going to meet Brendon Burchard. Now I'm 1 degree of separation from Tony Robbins, Les Brown. I'm meeting all these people that know all these people. I just know this journey is going to pop, and it's going to be in ways that Erin's little brain could never have figured out. So I'm going to allow it. I'm going to believe that the world has possibilities out there that maybe I can't come up with. So that's all we need to do. We just need to believe that it's possible. So Tony Robbins says, in order for a dream to come true, like, a vision to come true, you have to believe it. But there's this second piece where you have to believe that you're the one that's called to fulfill on it. So it's not enough to believe that, like, okay, yeah, there could be the greatest speaker in the world that really helps people on the planet deal with their struggles of not feeling good enough. But I have to then, the next step is I have to declare, oh, I'm the one that's supposed to lead the charge? Oh, I'm it. Oh, okay, I'm it. Okay? That's a really big piece. It's not just believing that it's possible, it's believing that you're the one that's supposed to do the job. Okay? And the third piece is we got to do it. Okay, we have to take the action. We have to put the hours in. We have to put many hours in, right? And one of the things that I love so much when I train under Bo Eason, the guy I was telling you about, is he understands that success is not a get quick, get rich overnight thing, and that we've been duped, and we all know we've been duped, and we all know it's not that, but we still kind of all want that, and we can kind of get pulled in. But I want you to ask yourself, like, what am I willing to do for 10 to 20 years? What's like the 10 to 20 year dream that I'm willing to get good at and to get great at and to serve with excellence and what it's almost like the thing that you desire is your compass. It's not necessarily like a destination on a map where you arrive. Because let's say I ended up speaking on stage with Tony Robbins and Oprah Winfrey, and let's say it was the stadium was filled. I wouldn't come home and be like, my work here is done. Like, that's just not how brains work, right? We'd be like, wow. I would take it in. And then there would be what's next? Who do we serve next? There's no finish line other than death. So what do we want to put our efforts towards? It's not like one day I am the greatest wife. No, it's like a constant compass of what kind of wife do I want to be for Garth? Okay, how would I behave? What energy would I have when he walks home walks in the door from work tonight? How do I want to be? And that's a never-ending process, right? And I think that should inspire us and not deter us, right? So little Zachary doing his squats, me hiring a speaking trainer. If I want to be the best speaker in the world, I better get the best and start figuring it out. And tooling up and skilling up. One of the greatest ways to grow your confidence is to grow your competence. You're not going to grow your confidence just thinking about doing the thing. You're going to do the thing, and then you're going to grow your confidence because you didn't die, or maybe it goes better than you thought, or maybe you get feedback about what you could have improved, and you're constantly learning, so there is no failure. If you're learning, there is no failure. And that builds confidence. And the definition again of confidence is the ability to figure things out. Am I good at getting good at things? And like Grace says, can you be put in any environment and thrive? Can you count on yourself? Can you depend on yourself? Can you make and keep the promises you make to yourself? That's what confidence is. The ability to confide in oneself and keep the promises you make to yourself. So I really am excited about this conversation for you. I'm excited to hear about what your declaration is and what you want to be the best at. If you haven't already got my book, you can get a free copy of the book. I think you've got it. And really learn how to train your brain to be unstoppable in your pursuit of excellence, in your pursuit of being the best version of you. So I will leave you with this thought, your greatness is limited by the investments you make in yourself. And I want you to ask yourself, am I taking out withdrawals or am I investing, in your health, in your spirituality, in your relationships, in your business, in your community work, in your charity work, in your financial health and peace, right? Are you investing in yourself, in your self-care? All of those things are what I mean by that. And it's going to require that. And I always say, if you have an Olympic size or Olympic level dream, you're going to need Olympic level self-care, health, spirituality, mental fitness. So that's why we're here working on all the things, because you're up to amazing things in the world. And again, if you have been given the vision, I believe it has your name on it for a reason, and that it's yours to fulfill. So I want to stop the screen share. Okay, great. So that is what I have for you today. I'm going to end the recording here.